An impressive Byzantine mosaic, a huge columbarium, and a 6th century BCE inscription of Jerusalem. These are only few of the finds discovered here at the historic site of Beit Loya, located in the Lachish area near Hebron. But despite these amazing discoveries, little is known of the history of this site.
So this place is called Hurvat Beit Loya. In Arabic, it's called Beit Lei. But a couple of decades ago, maybe an archaeologist started calling it, instead of Beit Lei, Beit Lechi. Now, Lechi means jawbone. So people are saying this is the area where Samson used to live. This was the site where he had the famous battle where he slew over 1,000 Philistines with his jawbone. And he asked the Lord, after he slew them, he was parched with thirst. I need some water. The God sends him a well, and there's a spring north of here. So they put the two together and say, this could be Lechi, the site of the battle. But Lechi also means something else for the Mormons. Lechi was a prophet who lived in the time of Jeremiah, back in the 7th century BC. And he fled Jerusalem. And people are in the Mormon faith believe maybe when he fled Jerusalem into the wilderness, this is where he came. And it became called Beit Lechi.
In 1961, an astonishing discovery was unveiled in these caves in an excavation carried out by J. Nave of the Hebrew University, a wall inscription from the 6th century BCE with the word, quote, Jerusalem. Oren Gutfeld and Michael Haber mention in their article, A Guide to Beit Loya, an archaeological site in the Judean lowland, that this inscription was a part of 7 inscriptions, which, according to Professor Cross of Harvard University, were of a poetic nature, written by a Levite poet or by an Israelite prophet.
The earliest ancient Paleo-Hebrew inscription that mentions 2 words, Jerusalem and Jehovah. And actually the inscription says, Jehovah is the God of the whole earth. The mountains of Judea belong to him, to the God of Jerusalem. Now these are very precious. It's the earliest mention of the word Jerusalem and Jehovah in Paleo-Hebrew. So they took it and they put it into the Israel Museum.
On the top of the hill, we can see the ruins of the village with remains from the Hellenistic, Byzantine, Mamluk, and Islamic periods.
There was Edomians living here until about 100 BC when Yochanan Hyrcanus, one of the Hashmonean kings, came down here, conquered the area, and he converted forcibly all the Edomians into Jews. So this became a Jewish village. Later on, a few hundred years later, when the Jews revolted against the Roman Empire for the second time, in the second revolt, the Bar Kokhba revolt, this area was one of the battlegrounds. There was a fortress built around this. There was a wall around the village here, and the Romans came here, and the story that we read is that they had a commander who was in an eastern tower, which was right over here, and during the Roman assault, he was hiding in the caves that they dug under the tower. They looked for him, they couldn't find him, and they left, and after a few days, he emerged and was a hero.
But perhaps the most marvelous facilities of this ancient village are actually underground. When we go down, we see escape tunnels, a water cistern, and an impressive columbarium, a nesting complex for pigeons.
We are inside a columbarium. Now, columbarium was dug by man. They would carve into this soft chalk these little dovecotes, these little triangles we see here. And archaeologists believe that this is where pigeons or doves would live. And where are we? We're on the road from the south to Jerusalem. And in ancient times, in the Second Temple period, Jews would make a pilgrimage to the temple. And you have to bring a sacrifice, so maybe on the road you'd pick up a cheap pigeon on the way up there. But another reason that this is built is, you can see, it's underground. We have dovecotes here. It's easy to work here. It's very hot outside. Also, we have nearby, and in this cave too, olive presses. Now, this area was very renowned for its olive oil, and you want to work, make olive oil, you do it inside of the cold cave, and we'll see that.
Another landmark of Beit Loya is this well-preserved church of the Byzantine era, dated to the late 6th to 8th century CE.
And after the Romans destroyed this village in the Second Revolt, the Byzantines came afterwards, and they built this magnificent church. It's one of the most well-preserved in this area, and you see we have the whole atrium, the basilica, the narthex, the apse, and if you come here, you'll be able to see these magnificent mosaic floors. There's also something else you can find here, some marble. Whenever you see marble in the Holy Land, you know that it's after the Roman period. It was usually imported from Asia Minor, Turkey today, because there is no marble in the Holy Land.
The mosaic floor features some interesting images of geometric shapes, Greek inscriptions, and other images. One of the most impressive images is of a boat. It also sheds light on the fascinating relations between Muslims and Christians in ancient times.
And this was once a figure, possibly of a fisherman, because in the gospel we hear about the fishermen, the disciples of Jesus. Well, during the Muslim conquest, they had something called iconoclasm, where the Muslims were against a graven image. So they would destroy images of humans, even images of animals like this rabbit and lions. Well, we see something very interesting here. This has been repaired, and it's been repaired with the same stones that were here, which means that the Muslims did not push out the Christians, they damaged the church, but the Christians still live here, repaired the church, and continue to live here during probably the 7th and 8th century.
One of the few face images which survive the so-called iconoclasm is of this human figure, located on the church's entrance.
So we can see that not all of the faces were removed. This is a beautiful example of a face from a mosaic, and they didn't destroy it. There's one here, there's another one over there. They didn't get everything.
Around the site, several inscriptions mentioning Jesus were unveiled. The most significant was found in a cave, depicting a Greek inscription saying, quote, "Jesus is here." However, it is unclear what the religious significance of this site is. It is not yet fully open to the public and is still being excavated. And although it is one of the most impressive sites in the area, the many pieces of this puzzle are yet to be deciphered.